Today I'm going to tear my sawmill apart. You heard me right, I'm tearing the sawmill down. Now, I'm going to be putting it right back together. For those of you that haven't been watching, don't panic. Just wanted to keep you guys up to date on what I'm doing. So, I want to show you a few things here and talk a little bit about my sawmill while I'm here tearing it apart. All I have, for those of you that haven't been keeping track, is a Woodland Mill 722. Cut a 22-inch log on this. And when you buy the sawmill, it comes in a couple different pieces. You have the rails here, are just a piece of angle iron. It's a 2.5-inch piece of angle iron. And what they do is they sell it in 6.5-foot sections, I believe it is. Or 6-foot sections, we'll say. So, you got two sections, a 6-foot here and a 6-foot there. And they're spliced here in the middle. You can see that it's just two pieces of angle iron butted together. There's a plate that goes on underneath here, and that plate is bolted down. You have two bolts on this side, you have two bolts on that side, and you have two bolts that go right down through the middle that hold this piece on, this bunker, and holds these two pieces of angle straight and everything together. And all in all, I didn't think it was a bad design when I first started using the sawmill, but as time went on here, I just have a hard time getting the sawmill to be level. Every time I bump it with a log, or it just gets from using it, wearing it back and forth, I always end up bumping it a little bit with the skid steer loading the logs on it, and it just comes a little bit out of level on it. And I put feet on it so that I can adjust it, so I can stop what I'm doing, take the time, adjust it, level it out, square it this way, square it that way. And there always seems to be a little bit of inconsistency with these seams. It seems like I'm always going a little bit uphill or a little bit downhill, and it flexes a little bit. Even though there's 6 bolts in here, it just isn't very strong. So what I'm doing here is taking this all apart, and I'm going to tear the sawmill off this platform. The wood platform I thought would be a good idea, get the saw up off the ground a little bit. All I did was sink some 4-inch posts, put some wood on the outside, put a deck on top. Now the holes I cut in the platform were for the guide posts. These guide posts here, so they can go up and down through the hole, and they can go down underneath the platform. So I cut those holes in on purpose, but as I went along, I put some heavy logs on here. I actually busted this platform in a couple spots. You can see here where this foot is, you can see that it actually sunk right down in this. Here's the leg here. You see how it broke the platform. You see it's like an 1.5 inch drop there, where it broke that piece and split it all the way out. And that's my fault for the way I built the platform. I should have had a brace directly underneath these feet. But when I first built the platform, I didn't have any feet on the saw. The saw comes without these. It just comes with just the angle iron. And it's just meant to just come out of the box and lay flat on the ground, or, I don't know, pour a slab under it. When they built these saws, I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but when they built these saws, I think they built them more to ship them than they did to run them. And what I mean by that is, it's easy to take this apart, have a couple of pieces of metal, and put it all together in a nice little box, and put it on a truck and ship it to you. And it all fits in one nice little box. And that's great for shipping purposes, but when you start putting it together and start trying to run it, it is just a nightmare to try to get this thing level. Now, I'm sure they've made some adjustments to this over time. I got this over a year ago, and I know they've made different modifications to these saws. So if you're looking to buy one of these, I would talk to the guys at Woodland Mills and see what they have to say, see what changes they have, and see what different things they've got going on. I know the bigger sawmills, the next size up from mine, mine's a 722. I think it's a HM 126, I think it is. But the next size up I know has the adjustable feet on it, for sure. And it's just been a nightmare ever since I started. I started out when I first unboxed the sawmill, I put it on cinder blocks, and that was terrible. I tried digging the dirt out, leveling the cinder blocks out, and I had the saw pretty level. And the same thing would happen. I'd bump it with the skid loader a little bit, and it'd be off kilter. So, instead of having this seam here, what I did was, I went and bought 2 pieces of angle iron that are 20 foot. And I apologize for the guys that subscribe to my channel and have seen this already, but I'm just trying to keep track of everything here. I'm going to lay these 20 foot pieces out that way, instead of underneath this roof, because when I load the logs, it's tough to get in here, to get a log in here, especially with the post there. I can only fit a 10-foot log on this track. Now the saw itself takes up about 2 feet of room at the end of the track. And what I mean by that is with the saw all the way back, you see the saw is all the way back on the end. There's an end stop here to keep the saw on the track. And the saw from the end of the post here out to where the saw blade is roughly 2 feet. So that end 2 foot of track is pretty much useless. You can't put a log on there because that's just where the saw needs to haul them out at. So my thought is that bunker that's back there is pretty much pointless. And the one down there on the end, you know, I don't use that one very much either. So what I'm going to do is reuse these bunkers and reuse these log clamps here. You know, these log clamps just slide on that rail there, clamp up against the log and tighten down to hold the log in place. I'm going to reuse those, and I'm going to reuse these bunkers. I'm going to relay them out a little bit differently. What I'm going to end up doing is taking some smaller angle iron and put across the ends of the 20 foot, because at the end I don't need a bunker, all I need is something to hold it square. So I'm going to put a piece of angle down there on each end, and then realign these bunkers so that I get more use out of the one back there. And what I was getting at, saying that this 2 foot on the end, I will have 20 foot of track, so the 2 foot on this end, and when you get to the other end, this foot hits, and then the saw blade's back here, so the last 6-8 inches of track is also not be able to be used. So roughly have 2 feet of track that you can't use. There's 12 foot of track here, and I can only get a 10 foot log on here at the most. So with a 20 foot, it's going to be roughly 18 feet. But 18 foot, I don't plan on cutting anything longer than 18 foot. I think the trailer I use is about 16 foot long, so I don't believe I'll be using anything longer than that. Now, what my plan is here, and I'll show you a little bit as I go along, is I'm going to tear the saw apart. I already started. I took all the bolts out of this half. I'm going to take the bolts out of that half. I'm going to take this track off. I'm going to wheel the saw itself down to the end of the track here. I'm going to get the loader in here. I'm going to pick that saw up. I'm going to take it off the track and lay it out in the yard for now. Take the rest of this track off the stand, and then we'll go from there. So that's going to be what we're going to do here in the next few minutes. I have that piece of track out of there, set off to the side. So now this piece of track, I have the saws only on wheels here. I can wheel it right down to the end, and there's nothing here stopping me from just wheeling it right off the end. So now I'm going to go get my skid loader here and rig this thing up. I don't have a whole lot of clearance, so I don't want to lift it too high. All I really want to do is pull it right out the end of these rails and get it out here. This thing weighs a few hundred pounds, at least a couple hundred anyway. It's heavier than I'm going to be able to lift by myself without the help of a loader, so that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so now we got the sawmill off, the saw head off the sawmill rather. We got one section of track off, and now here's the other section of track. To pull this out of here. Just gonna let that sit over there to the side for now. Lost one of my feet, which is okay because I'm not going to use those anymore anyway. Those are going to be obsolete when I'm done here. But there you go. Sawmill's completely taken apart. Pretty simple. Really only took it in half right now. Later on, probably not going to record it. I'm going to take all the nuts and bolts apart and take all the track apart, all the bunks off the pieces of track so I can reuse them on the new pieces of angle, and go from there. Now the next step I got to do is get rid of this wood platform. Okay, now when I put this platform in here, I sunk 4-inch square posts, and you know there's 8 of them here for this platform. I'm not going to be able to pull those posts out, so what I'm going to do is just so delicately cut each one of the posts off and pull the platform out. I figure, how more delicate can you be than with my good old-fashioned chainsaw. Now you see behind me here, that's the platform. I have it stood up on its end. I'm going to pull that out of there and I'm going to reuse it. What I'll do is I'll put it down out in the yard for a platform to stack more lumber on. So there you have it. Sawmill was there a little bit ago, now it's gone. Now, I'm going to have to clean the sawdust out of here. I'll put the bucket on the skid loader and clean this up a little bit. And then I got these posts, I'll pull these posts out. One of them came out already, so the rest of them shouldn't be too bad. Alright, well, there you have it. Sawmill's taken apart, dismantled. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'll be digging some holes and pouring some concrete, getting ready to set it back up again. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you.